Hello and welcome to the first episode of this book club thing that I'm trying out. We're sponsored by Star Trek and Clorox. Yeah, okay, this is gonna be like pretty chill and unedited, mostly me just talking with some like random cuts here and there. And just vibing about books. And the books that we're talking about, starting to talk about, is the first couple chapters, or rather the first couple sections of Ghosts of My Life by Mark Fisher and the first chapter of After the Future. Whoa-ha. I'm going to do my best not to completely bounce between both of these in a confusing and disorienting manner, but I'm me, so I'm making literally zero promises about this at all. With that in mind, let's get fucking into it. I put some questions down there that you can either answer or not. Use them to like, I don't know, organize your thoughts. You know, I'm probably going to be touching on some of them. I'm not going to be answering all of them because I'd much rather this be like a stream of consciousness type thing. But I kind of use them to like kind of guide what I kind of want to focus on and make sure like I really get some key points down from what I think I'm doing. Also, final disclaimer, I am not a fucking expert on this shit. Do not take what I say as law, as the word of God, as the ultimate authority on the interpretation of these texts. I am a dude who's trying to learn this stuff as well, and I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. I feel like I've done enough research to feel reasonably confident in my interpretations, but who knows? You know, I could be fucking wrong about everything, even though that's me, so that's impossible. But anyways, disclaimer is over. Oh fuck. Mark Fisher, Ghosts of My Life. I read the whole book. The reason we're talking about just the first two is because I just don't feel equipped to talk about all of the really sick music shit that he discusses in like the other 90% of the book. It's awesome, you should read it, but for our purposes, we're just talking about the slow cancellation of the future and why Hauntology sections. And with that in mind, it was really interesting. And if you noticed on page 6 of this book, the quote and where he gets the slow cancellation of the future is from the other book we're reading by Mr. Bifo over here, After the Future. That's how I discovered this, because I saw this and I was like, I want to read more of that, and then I did, and now we're here. Okay. Slow cancellation of the future, I feel like was a phrase I was a little bit confused about at first, but it felt like it made sense, you know, like at least my age, the ancient age of 32. I feel like that a lot of the media that I had grown up with and a lot of the narratives that I heard from like people older than me, and in a lot of popular culture has always had this like worship and idealization of the idea of the future. And this is something that Mark specifically talks about as well. And the idea of the slow cancellation of the future is we've kind of like reached this cultural malaise where that vision of a kind of like a future at all has kind of vanished. And we've gotten this feeling that the future just isn't coming anymore. Like it feels like so much was kind of promised implicitly, like better jobs, better infrastructure, more insane futuristic arts, advances in technology, like world peace, like all of these things that was kind of predicated on moving forward from the time period that we are in now. But as he talks about, it feels more and more like we are less focused on really innovating and moving forward from this time period we're in now, to kind of endlessly reinterpreting and reincorporating pieces of the past. And as such, this kind of jumbling of time and space has kind of occurred and led to this feeling that like maybe that future that everybody's been hyping up for so long isn't maybe coming, and that's spooky. That's kind of scary, and it's weird. It's something that Bifo talks about in After the Future. Look at that. I'm already skipping around. Is he talks about how like the idea of the future is very much something that was kind of like almost manufactured in a way. Like the idea of putting a lot of emphasis on innovation as like kind of this defining feature of the future, which like in a chronological sense it is. But if you put so much emphasis on the future and remove it from the present, then like you kind of end up in this cycle of like mindless hope that like you're really kind of super focused on the future. It's like the ultimate thing. Anyways, let me see my little notes here before I end up rambling too much. Nostalgia. Yes, nostalgia and hauntology, I think, are two really interesting things. It's like light side nostalgia, which is kind of nostalgia, and then like dark side nostalgia, which is hauntology. Like nostalgia, you know, something we felt has kind of like oversaturated essentially every facet of life, is very much seen as something like nicer, more comforting, whereas hauntology, or like things that make use of like or things that invoke the past in a hauntological manner. I think Fisher uses the terms like it invokes this sense of mourning, like hauntology, which really should be the name of like studying to be a ghost or something, is much more about like less focused on like this like comforting vision of the past and more mourning the idea of lost futures, right? That's where the lost futures part come in. And I think like personally, that's something that like I've kind of felt a lot. It feels like kind of like bits and pieces here and there. There's like, again, these things that have been talked about, that have been promised, that people speak of, that people try to still get us excited about. But like the veil has kind of been broken for me, and it feels like there's this just like level of exhaustion of continually mourning a future that cannot come anymore or will not come, even though some people still try to fucking dredge it out of the dirt. It's this endless horrible cycle. I think more notes here. Yeah, very much Bifo and Fisher talk about this, but the kind of mid-century, like post-World War II era was very much this like ultimate feeling of like forwardness and progress and innovation. Like not only was there like an immense vague, okay, not immense, but like just enough of an attempt to kind of quell inequality, insanely high tax rates on the rich, to kind of allow this structure of innovation to move forward alongside obviously post-war attitudes of like this intense idea for progress to like move past this awful event that had just happened. And that led to, you know, like great leaps in technology, like advancements of computing technology that initially started during the wartime period. You know, like film and arts technology absolutely fucking exploded during this time period. You know, like we went from, you know, like just getting out of the fucking like black and white film era from like the 20s, 30s, 40s, and then like mid 70s we got fucking Star Wars. That's such an insane leap forward in such a massive in such a relatively short amount of time. We also went to the fucking moon. Hello. Never gonna fucking do that again now. Like, and the other thing that Fisher talks about on this isn't just like the capacity to like envision innovation or to do something, but even to have a vision of a future in the first place. Like to even have a vision of what that could be, what that could look like, and what you can do right now to create something, to do something to bring that future into effect. Because so much stuff we see feels like very either of its time or again relying on nostalgia to keep to like what am I trying to fucking say? Or to rely on nostalgia as the driving force in the market, basically. Like new only goes so far, and we can't deny that there is absolute market appeal that, you know, a bunch of dumb idiot babies will absolutely fucking bounce on because it's something they recognize. And newness has almost become like synonymous with like the unknown in a bad way. Like there is a level of excitement that has been lost for a lot of people in the idea of newness. But that's a whole other fucking conversation that I cannot get into now, or this will go on too long. Okay. I got a million fucking things I could keep going about with old fish boy. But I got a lot of other really interesting stuff that I want to talk about in After the Future before this gets too fucking long. I'm really trying to keep this, like, I have no idea how long I've been recording for. But we're gonna keep going. Okay. Again, to start out, as I said before, Mr. Bifo really talks about, or he uses the term the century that trusted in the future, right? What I talked about before. And what that really means again was like technological innovation, the ability to like see and trust in and really kind of channel the ideal future you wanted in the present that you actually live in. Something I think we're missing a lot of right now. And after that, he kind of moves into boy, this sure is a mess, huh? I hope you're having fun. Yeah. Right, here it is. Berardi used the term the myth of the future, a shared cultural and political narrative that imagined the future as a possibility, or as a place of possibility, improvement, and emancipation. Like there was a specific like feeling associated with envisioning the future that was significantly more positive than the dread-filled, anxiety-induced terror that comes with my envisioning the future now. Like, so much of it like is scary and bad because like What if the fucking government collapsed? What if AI takes my job? What about the endlessly rising wealth gap? What if we just get nuked? What if we just get nuked? That would be fucking crazy. Tech companies have completely overtaken how so much of our life has run and kind of controlled what like technological innovation can be and how we engage with it, because they have more money than God. And like that positive vision of the future is kind of gone. That like trust that I think a lot of the average person had in it is gone. Like, and you can tell this in kind of like media and stuff, like in the small microcosm of science fiction as well. Like early on in the 20th century, so much of the media around it was so excited on like technological innovation and what we could do. There was much more like a positive aura. And then as time went on and on and on, it became significantly more cautionary and dystopian to eventually like give rise to the obvious cyberpunk genre, which is kind of the epitome of a techno-feudalist capitalist nightmare that we are definitely not getting closer to every single day. With that in mind, one thing that I really did think was super interesting that he brought up, which I'm glad he did, was the Futurists, which are an artist group that I learned about a little bit in college. Eventually, I dived into them a little bit more afterwards, but they're a bunch of weird guys that I don't like that much. But admittedly, they made some cool stuff. Like, you know, here's a picture of this dog walking fast, which I find quite charming, actually. But what made the Futurists so distinct from like a lot of other artistic movements is they were very like ideologically oriented in kind of a direction away from a lot of other art movements. Like, there's a reason why they are associated with fascism. You know, not a lot of art can say that. They really had this obsession and glorification of the rapidly advancing technological advancements that were happening during the earliest 20th century. They had this obsession with like speed, of power, of violence, like it sounds cool. And to kind of tie back again, it sounds almost like cyberpunkian, like techno-futurist in a way, and in a way like they kind of were some of the earliest modern people to kind of think in that matter, like almost the artistic version of like a proto-tech bro. And you can really feel like a lot of that ideology has been kind of carried through. Like, it's very much been like a lot of the artistic vision has been taken out of it, but a lot of this stuff sounds super similar to a lot of the rhetoric that we hear today from like tech bros, like speed, power. Oh, this chip's so much more powerful than the last one. This update can make you do things 10 times faster than what you could do before, so you can spend even more time rotting away at your pointless job. Like, you can feel a lot of these traits in modern culture, which I think is something that's like really fascinating and also a little horrifying. Something fascism here as well. I think another thing that he brought up that I really liked a lot is he talked about the kind of like emotional and the psychological effect of like the idea of a collapsing future, of a vision of a future that is no longer here, of that slow cancellation, as it were. He really talks, he uses the term psychosocial trauma, just like me, for real. Which is, yeah, when the belief in progress and transformation erodes, people are left with anxiety, depression, and exhaustion. Emotional life of late-stage capitalism is marked by precarity, hyperstimulation, and a chronic sense of disorientation. Without a future or plan, life becomes a continuous present, stagnant, fragmented, overwhelming. Individuals struggle to find meaning or continuity, leading to what Berardi calls a panic age, just like me, for real, when the nervous system is overwhelmed and the pace of information and the collapse of narrative system is overwhelmed by the pace of information and the collapse of narrative incoherence. So I feel this every single day of my life. I feel like it doesn't specifically say this, but I feel like as I've gotten older and I've noticed this like a contraction of time, where everything feeling more focused on the point I am now, like not being able to divide things into a past, a present, and a future, like having all of this information at the same time and trying to parse it out, like kind of where I am, like constantly makes my brain hurt all the time. Like I have a headache right fucking now. And it's probably partially because I have forgotten to take my meds yet today, oops. But also because I feel like again, there's this like disorientation that comes with being like kind of lost in time, like having all of this information just at once, when like you should be able to compartmentalize or rationalize like the different elements of this over time. But with, you know, nostalgia and hauntological themes crushing you, the collapse of the this optimistic vision of a future that can come to be when all technological innovation appears to be focused on bringing you into a future that either cannot come to exist at all, or if it did come to exist would be objectively worse than all of the rich white guys trying to tell you otherwise. Shit's a lot. Shit's overwhelming and exhausting and tiring, and it's why I spend so much time laying on my floor instead of being a productive member of society, because my brain hurts. And I think that is an extremely poignant observation at all. I think that's an extremely poignant observation. I don't know how long I've been recording this for, but I'm going to try to move towards wrapping it up because I know we got more stuff to the future. Hope. What about motherfucking hope, bitch? Huh? One thing that I like that Berardi doesn't talk about in this chapter, and I don't really think he talks about it in the rest of the book from what I remember, but like, is there a way to unmurder the future? Like is there a finality in this observation that we cannot come back from to make a vision of the future that like is actually good and utopian? And I think I really like Berardi's observation of you know, there's obviously, as we see people talk about a lot of various things, like, you know, when something bad happens, that leaves room for something good. And Berardi speaks about how the, you know, death of this future that was kind of like very based on like kind of traditional, like capitalist oriented views of progress and the future rather than something more collective and social, that could open the doorways to like a new vision of what like temporality and imagination kind of could have us as humans build. Like you know, gotta shatter the old narrative completely in order to build something new that could be better and more beneficial for ideally all of humanity, or at least us, because I'd like to kill all of the tech bros, honestly. But with that in mind, yeah, he specifically talks about like rethinking desire, time, and politics in a way that are no longer dominated by growth, competition, or techno-utopias. And I think those are incredibly important because we see those so present in every aspect of life today. This continual desire for a very specific kind of growth that like usually involves a dollar sign, or like expansing, or he talks about this more in the future, but like the idea of like the future and expansion is very much dominated by like the idea of physical space and expansion in like more of a literal sense, like, you know, colonizing the new world, going to the unknown, building things to places we haven't gone before, going to fucking space, going to the moon, going to Mars now, even though that's never gonna fucking happen. Like, there's such a literal idea of growth that's like almost like kind of tied to this colonialist mindset. And like, growth is good. Like growth is poggers. We like growth, but growth at the cost of like what is kind of the question that has never really been asked. And in that same vein, the idea of competition as well is something that's kind of like intrinsically part of this kind of vision of the future and growth and expansion. And we can see that like competition has kind of become ingrained in almost every single aspect of like our life, from like the games we play for our stupid little video games, and the prominence of like the PvP aspect, to even thinking about like how you're supposed to function at your job. Like, I worked in like big tech startup land for a few years after college, and I'd almost want to fucking kill myself. And that competition mindset, as I'm sure you've seen from like, you know, our articles or whatever online, is so present in that. Like, you are fighting against the people that you are supposed to be working with for money, power, and prestige. Like I think that's another reason why I think we have become significantly more atomized, is there has been this broader culture of competition rather than cooperation that has been kind of encouraged upon us. And a lot of the natural social links that we kind of didn't fully realize relied on like cooperation, which should seem obvious, we kind of took for granted, and now like that has sort of decayed over time. And yeah, I don't like that at all. It's something I try to think about a lot. Like, even like how I make content, like I don't want it to sound like I'm being like super combative or competitive in like how I talk about like ideas or people or other things, or like what things should be doing. Obviously it can't be like entirely avoided, but like I don't want that to like, I don't want like a level of competition to overtake the broader desire for like cooperation and community and like more collectively goal-oriented, a more collectively goal-oriented vision. I think that's something that needs to be done. Also, the techno-utopian fantasies, he's totally fucking right about this shit. Like, everything involves fucking like robots and flying cars. Like, it's just like, it's so hard to detach the future from these like technological advancements that are just so outdated now. Like, we have robots, like we have fucking AI taking our fucking jobs. Like, we're not getting flying fucking cars. Like, or if we are, they're gonna be owned by companies like Uber, who are already fucking trying to get rid of their fucking drivers with autoless cars. Yay economy. Gonna talk about the techno utopian stuff later, because he talks about it more in the book. Yeah, I think that's kind of it for the first one. This was super off the cuff. I had my little notes. I think I can be a little organized, or a little more organized in the future. Please tell me what you thought about this. Again, I'm going to be posting like a bunch of questions for you to think about in the bottom. Answer all of them. Don't answer any of them. Talk about whatever the fuck you want, as long as it's related to the chapters of the books that we talked about. If you only want to talk about one, if you only had time for something, do that. If you have questions, please put it there. I will do my best to answer them with my big smart brain. And I like this a lot. I like this. Like, I try to do something like this as I like read stuff and write my videos like internally to help me like process like and like internalize what I am reading to make my stupid little videos. And I am excited for the process of getting to do this with other people who want to learn stuff too, and even like correct me if I'm wrong or like give insight that I don't have, etc. This was neat. Thank you. Thank you to our sponsors, Star Trek and Clorox. Also, I'm editing this in DaVinci Resolve for the very first time. I've never used the program before, so if things are weird, that's why. But anyways, this was fun. Thank you for giving me money and participating in my little thing to watch this video and the future ones that I will be doing. Next time, we're going to be doing probably chapters 2 and 3, maybe just 2. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm thinking about a lot of things, but mostly I'm thinking about how I kind of got to take a poop right now. So I'm going to go do that. But thank you very much for watching my thing, and I hope you got something out of this, and give me any notes or comments about what you liked or didn't like from this format, or what could be better. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.